what I most often see sabotage the plans, the well-meaning plans of my clients in their middle life, 30s and 40s, is they fall into the trap of lifestyle creep. This means every time your paycheck goes up, you allow your lifestyle to expand to fill that space. Hey folks, Colin Richards here. I'm excited to be back here with you on the Lord and Richards Show in yet another episode on the subject of how to be wealthy, healthy, and happy throughout your lifetime. And last time we started focusing on how to be wealthy in your 20s. And you may recall that I discussed the key of getting compounding for life working for you, not against you. Debt means compounding working against you. You buy too much on debt, you're going to have compounding working against you. Get it working for you. Learn to live on half your paycheck in your younger years, and you're going to be surprised and amazed at how financially secure you're going to be even in middle life. And so today I'm going to talk about that group in the 30s and 40s. Now, you may not have gotten this kind of advice in your 20s that I'm giving about not overspending, right? A lot of people were tempted to keep up with mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and go out and buy all the expensive cars and overspend on a home that we really can't afford, leaving very little for giving and saving. And what we want to do is get back to those basics, immediately start dealing with our budget. If necessary, downsize our home so that we can live on about 50% or so of our paycheck, not counting the luxuries of life. So really about 60%, including your taxes. So giving 10%, saving 20%, spending 50%. Offerings, that's God's special gifts that he puts on your heart, and then luxuries for yourself like the travel, the vacations, 10%. If you can learn to live that way, you're going to have an amazing future ahead of you. But if you're just getting started in your 30s, 40s, I just want to remind you, don't keep up with the Joneses. This is where a lot happens that undermines your future, because now you're within sight, just a couple decades of potentially being able to retire, to step away from the job. Now, many of my clients want to continue to work throughout their retirement years or their 60s or their 70s. But for you, maybe that's not your goal, right? And so if we're going to get you free from your job so that you don't have to punch a clock or check in every day, then we're going to have to do some things about the expense side of the balance sheet. Now, I'm assuming that you're doing the key things that you know you should do. For example, I want you now to continue to invest fairly aggressively, okay? But I want you to do that with the help of an advisor, and particularly a fiduciary who has access not only to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but to protected strategies that will protect your principal, because it's going to be key that you have some money that is not subject to the whims of the market. You say, well, Colin, I'm young enough if I'm in my 30s or maybe early 40s that I can recover. But folks, the destination is not to recover, to get back where you started. The destination is to make progress. So I want you to have some things in your portfolio that are principal protected, linked to the market, that are growing when the market grows. They may not be as liquid for you, but this is about the future, but they don't lose money, right? So maybe as much as half of your portfolio should be in those kinds of tools. Then on the other portion of your portfolio, maybe where your 401k is, you can be more aggressive. Here's the key. If you're investing in a 401k, I want you to be thinking about avoiding future taxes, not just present taxes. Now, if your income is particularly high, and I've got clients who have high income, we may not be able to avoid deferring some taxes by investing in IRAs and 401ks, just because we don't want your bracket to creep up into the 30 percentile, or the 32% or 37%, unless that's the only thing that can happen because you're making so much money, right? But for most of us, we want to keep down in those 20s or lower, 24, 22, 12, 10. Those are the brackets we want to live in. So we may have to defer some taxes. But unless you're bumping up against those thresholds, and we can certainly help you and my team, we want to just focus on tax-free investing, maintaining a tax-free savings strategy. Now, the one exception to this is I want you to get your match at work. I want you to get your match at work. Free money is my favorite kind of money. And so if your company is matching your contributions to a 401k, 403b, 401a, whatever it is, I want you to make sure that you get that match. Get the free money. Do that contribution. And then we can help you make sure that you make selections within the limited investment options of your 401k that will be as good as possible and reflect your age, your risk tolerance, your goals. Okay, but once you get past the match, I want you to do one other thing. I want you to make sure your contribution is going into a Roth 401k if possible. Go into a Roth 401k if possible. Now, once again, if it pushes you too high into the brackets, we might not do that. But up to those top brackets, I want you to start putting money in tax-free vehicles. Tax-free money is my second favorite kind of money. And if you're saving beyond what is required in your 401k to get the match, stop doing that. Reduce your contributions, and then start working with an advisor like the team at Lord & Richards to save outside of your 401k. That's for a couple reasons. Number one, your 401k can't be touched except for a few circumstances before 59 and a half. Well, what if you want to retire or step away from your job? What if you're financially successful enough that you could do that prior to 59 and a half? Well, your options will be limited, not impossible, but limited with your 401k. So I want you to have some money outside of that 401k to make it easy to make the decision to step away from work when you are financially independent. So saving outside of your 401k in other tax-free strategies, and there are a wealth of them. And you can, again, look up our podcast, look up our YouTube channel, and see the many different episodes that I've had on how to invest and save tax-free. That is going to be key for you in your 30s and 40s. One last thing, okay? On the side of expenses and not trying to keep up with the Joneses, what I most often see sabotage the plans, the well-meaning plans of my clients in their middle life, 30s and 40s, is they fall into the trap of lifestyle creep. This means every time your paycheck goes up more than, say, inflation, every time you get a promotion, you allow your lifestyle to expand to fill that space. And you just get in a bigger and bigger house, nicer and nicer cars. Now, it's fine. If you're living within that 50 to 60% range of your paycheck, including taxes, that's fine. If you can afford nice things, I want you to have nice things. Sometimes I have to tell my clients, hey, loosen up, spend the money. But most people that I'm talking to are spending too much in their 30s and 40s, and they're having to play catch up, and it forces them to be more aggressive than they really should. So maintain your 5-step percentages, giving right off the top. You're giving first 10%, saving 20%, spending 50%, including your taxes, offerings 10%. You say, well, Colin, I thought you said 60% on spending. Luxuries 10%. That's back on you, okay? And then I don't want you to let your children's life bury you financially, right? Make good decisions. I know we want our kids to have great opportunities, but we also want them to learn the value of money, not going into debt. You should have no debt besides your home at this point in your life, and keep only low interest debt on that home, right? Don't be jumping ship just to get a bigger house and then paying the high interest rates of today. Sit pat. Stand pat. So I want to talk to you about this. I'd love to sit down with you, and my team and I can help you. We have resources, tools, and wonderful advisors that are eager to talk to you about how you can achieve financial independence even in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. And especially if you're getting ready to retire, I would love to chat with you. It just takes a simple phone call.